Federal Legislative History on Lexis and ProQuest for the Intellectual Property Research course at Boston College Law School. To get to legislative history materials on Lexis Advance, click on Statutes and Legislation. On the Statutes and Legislation page, you'll find a link to Legislative Histories. The Lexis Legislative Histories page contains links to databases of the various types of documents in legislative histories, such as House and Senate documents, committee prints, hearings, and reports. It also has a few compiled legislative histories and 2 bibliographic legislative history databases, the CIS Historical Index and the US CIS Index. You can also start a legislative history search from an individual US code section by going to the History section of that code section. The Code History provides citations and links to the public laws that enacted and amended this section of the U.S. Code. Further down, in the Notes section, are amendment notes. Amendment notes explain which changes to the statute were made in which year. These do not have hot links, but will help you identify public laws in the History section to link to the session law where a particular change was made. Let's link to the original Copyright Revision Act of 1976, Public Law 94-553. The session law on Lexis includes the citation, a synopsis, and lower down a link to a PDF of the session law itself. Under the History heading are citations to important parts of the legislative history. Under the Text heading are the link to the public law and a link to a CIS legislative history for this statute. CIS stands for Congressional Information Service. CIS was the first company to provide researchers outside the D.C. area full access to federal legislative history materials. LexisNexis purchased CIS but subsequently sold it to ProQuest, which provides the interface most used for CIS content today, but Lexis still provides access to CIS content. This CIS compiled legislative history lists the documents in this legislative history, some of which will have hot links to abstracted congressional hearings, reports, and House and Senate documents in the CIS database. For more searching options, access CIS content through the Boston College Law Library A to Z database list in the ProQuest Congressional Documents database. The basic search screen provides some useful information about the types of documents available and how to search for them. If you have a bill number, a public law number, or a statutes at large citation, use the pull-down menu at the top to select Search by Number. Let's search for Public Law 94-553. This search retrieves 7 hearings, 6 House and Senate documents, and 1 legislative history. Let's filter by document type to see the legislative history. And let's open up the legislative history of 94-553 in ProQuest. Looking at the legislative history itself, we see this is basically the same content we were able to get via Lexis. This version of the legislative history has a little more content and more hyperlinks. These are primarily the CIS abstracts of these documents, although sometimes there is also a link to the full text document from the abstract. For some older documents, you may need to use the CIS legacy number to find the full text of the document on microfiche. One of the huge innovations of CIS was that it didn't just contain documents relating to legislation that had actually passed. It captured and indexed all of the hearings and reports from each Congress as they were published. So in addition to compiling legislative histories, you can also search through the various types of documents indexed and abstracted, originally by CIS and now by ProQuest. This allows you to track not only successful legislation, but also documents relating to legislation that failed. Here on the Advanced Search page, we can see some of the types of materials that ProQuest Congressional Documents provides access to. You might notice that different types of materials have different years of coverage. These represent the materials that we have access to through our subscription. Other libraries may provide access to more or less data. While you can apply limits after a search, if you choose your content type first, you can make better use of field searching. For example, when searching for a hearing, you can search by name of affiliation, by name of witness or their affiliation. Here we're searching for hearings in which a representative of the Office of the Register of Copyrights testified. Before or after the search, we can filter by date or Congress. Let's look closely at the published hearing on fair use and unpublished works. The table of contents on the left links to the various sections of the hearing's abstract, including links to PDFs of the full text of the hearing. The testimony section details the witnesses, the subjects they spoke on, and the pages of the hearings where their testimony is found.